A little background information. About 5 years ago, we did our first presentation of the department, and since that time, the department has not only grown, but changed somewhat. Oh, I should sit in front and stand here. And some of the forces of those changes have been reflected not only in our organization, professional organization, but have now been reflected in the library. We focus around materials and from our perspective and those things which influence our activity and our decision-making process. Some of the forces of change that have imposed themselves on our profession and on us has been a return and reaffirmation of the need for bench conservation. This has been around a long time, but it's sort of dwindled in the last 10, 20 years in light of digitization. There is also the ongoing age of the collection. It continues to age, it continues to get use, and there are cumulative effects of use by users, environment, previous repairs that were perhaps, there it's in quote, I'm not going to allude to them as conservation repairs. They were repairs with good intentions but ill-informed, or the technology wasn't there. And of course the inherent character of material degradation, which is what we also need to address. The complexity of material degradation, however, has historically been dealt by conservators through what we would characterize as physical treatment to improve performance and use with our growing knowledge of how those materials perform over time. But clearly there is a need for some materials for which we have no solutions. We do not either understand the materials, how they age over time, or the fact that they're present with other issues. So the need to engage more directly with scientists, industry, and technology to address conservation issues is something that has been a theme in our profession for the last 20 years, but most vividly in the last 5 or 10. In 2008, as a consequence of this growing recognition, Hopkins was invited by the Andrew Mellon Foundation to host a 2-day international workshop with participants from the scientific community, from conservators, libraries and museums and archives, industry, and also funding agencies to try to strategize rather than piecemeal these issues together. The charge was very simple: identify the conservation research agenda. What are the questions? How do we build toward it rather than have it happen happenstance? The consequence of a very successful workshop was, again, that the Andrew Mellon Foundation awarded Hopkins and the Sheridan Library a 3-year pilot project which brings together conservators, scientists, industry together to find answers and solutions to the conservation issues. This is the background of the changes that have taken place here and that part of the division that we'll present today. This image that we designed has heritage in the middle because all our collections are part of heritage, as is our sustainability of our environment, to follow up on our earlier conversations. The agenda, the research agendas represent that top part of the bridge, and then the particular questions, and I think you have this brochure on your table, the particular questions which get manifested under these research priorities are listed below. You can clearly see there are so many of them and we can only tackle one at a time. And on the bottom of our partners who are participating with us. So scientists and conservators, for the first time, come together within a conservation department, within multiple disciplinary approaches, within one environment, so that scientists can see and understand the issues in the context in which they manifest themselves, which is not pure theory of paper or whatever, but how it manifests. But we need everything from molecular scientists to applied scientists to demonstration scientists. The consequence is the reorganization of the department and designing a new pilot project and a model for other conservation programs in the U.S. to follow upon our completion and our recommendations. And that is everything that you see in the blue on the left-hand side, the conservation research agenda associated with our conservation services. So that being said, and we are now here to talk about who we are and what we do. So I'll do the easy part, and then I'll defer to my colleagues. who we are. Well, there's me, Head of Conservation and the PI for the program. Miriam Centeno, who's seated in the front, you've seen her before, who is our liaison and project assistant. William Mentor, who is the conservator, one side of the bridge, bringing in the conservation issues for discussion by the scientists. And then our two wonderful postdocs, John Beatty and Cy-Young Lee. And before I now defer to, in this order, my colleagues, just wanted to say that, as you probably have heard from my email announcement, I wanted to acknowledge that Dr. Lee will unfortunately be leaving us. He may not be here with us, but he will certainly be with us in our thoughts, as well as the fact that we will continue to remain engaged with him. He has been a valuable asset to the program, not only in terms of his particular areas of research, but by introducing industry partnership and industrial partners and academic partners for the future. So that being said, I now go to Bill Mentor.